years as research, we really wanted to talk about 3D, and is it really worth investing? We've got a 3D TV, and we have 3D software, both in math and science, at our school. We decided to go with passive glasses. So you can see the kids right there, they're wearing the active glasses. And when we do our breakout session, I can give you pros and cons of both types of visualization. The girls there actually did a science fair project with me and helped me teach a physical science class. We took 3 of them. I'll give you more detail in a second. And we looked to see if 3D video plus 3D simulations really improved kids' learning compared to 2D pictures, whether they be flat videos that you show on YouTube or whatever video you have from your computer and in your textbooks. And that's a little bit more about the experiment. There was a 1 control class that created physical science kids, and then 2 treatments. 1 treatment just got to look at the 3D videos, and the other got 3D videos and the simulations. And so what did we find out? Well, we found out that the kids that actually did the 3D and the simulations, this is class period 4, they actually had a greater growth, but I think more because it's really close. So you don't see a huge statistical significance there, but if I tell you this, that period 4 were my high special needs and special ed class. Periods 2 and 6 were advanced physical science classes. So what you see there now is the kids that were special ed and special needs, they kept up with the advanced curriculum with the kids doing both 3D and simulations. And so when you look at it in that context, you see a lot of significance with this data. So that was a very exciting result. And I'm happy to share more of this data with you if you're interested in it. We did, one thing that was my aha along the way is about doing assessments. At first, we were doing our standard assessments, which are like multiple choice, short answers, right? Then we realized that you're not seeing a lot about how the 3D actually is affecting kids' learning. You need to do your assessment in 3D. Well done, right? So we did a lot of our assessments also building models. And that's part of the NGSS standards about building models, design, theory, all of that. So you can see up at the top, there's a picture of a kid, they got an element, and that was what you thought the element looked like. After the 3D and simulations, on the right side, there is his transformation of how now he thinks about an element. And we also did some survey results. We found that obviously a lot of kids were saying that they're not very good at science for the 9th grade. They think that they're bad at math, they think they're bad at science. When we did a pre-survey and a post-test survey with this, after they did the 3D and the simulations, their attitudes about themselves being scientists and mathematicians changed. They had more confidence with it, which was really exciting to see, and they were more motivated to learn the science. They said it was fun, it wasn't boring. And so I have a little data here. This was just for more than a year, since we've been doing this 6 years. But 76% of the kids said that it really helped them. 24% said, you know, I can spatially think myself, so it could go any way, it's good and bad. We do have some great quotes, though, that I think really say it all. That the 3D videos gave them something tangible to look at. It was like the kids do the test and replay, like a video in their head. They would remember it better and be able to replay it, and that would help them with the test, which is really cool. And they love doing simulations with it, and that is also key, that you can't just show a video, we all know this, and then do nothing with it, because then they're not processing it. So you have to do a simulation or some sort of hands-on activity in connection to the 3D visualization for them to actually process it and start to get it into their memory. Some lessons learned, and I know we can go in more detail when we do our breakouts, but a few things is to make sure you have a safety contract. I think it's really good. We will have some issues, but I know I think someone on this panel will probably talk a little bit more about the health issues. But I want to tell you that the #1 reason why people have issues watching 3D, it's not because of the actual technology, it's due to an actual physical problem in their eye. And they can actually detect that, and there are things you can do to fix that over time. with the depth perception. It might be astigmatism or something that because one eye is growing a little bit differently than the other, or whatever it may be. But we did catch 2 of our students with astigmatisms because of this, because they were saying they were getting headaches or a little nauseous with it, and they went to their doctor and reported it, and they were able to figure out what was going on, which is cool. The other thing is they also drew pictures in 3D. All of their notes they started to change and started to look at things with a different perspective than just flat, which I thought was very cool. And I think I'm going to go ahead and pass it on.
Thanks. Thank you. So I prepared more slides and so I prepared more slides for you, actually with more information than I can really cover, but I promise that we will make all these presentations available online. So you guys, if you are interested in more details, you can always return to this presentation. So as I said, I'm a professor of scientific computing at UNR, but my real passion is to work with teachers and in particular with students, because if a student can be ignited to like math, I feel rewarded. Okay, so as you can see, I was writing books about advanced scientific computing before now. I read different books, and I really like it. I've been training teachers and working with librarians even, and with kids a lot. But let me start explaining what is a scripting CAD. Can you guys raise your hand if you know what a scripting CAD means? So that okay, so few of you. Okay. So a scripting CAD is a way to program geometry using simple commands. And as a very simple example here, I hope that you can read this. Okay, this cube of size 2, and show the cube. That's it. That will generate the cube. It's almost like simplified, compressed English. You want to give it a color? You add more line, one more line. So color the object K, flow, that's it. So in this sense, there are commands to move objects and rotate objects. So if I want to add a cylinder, I add a cylinder. Oh, sorry. Not yet. This command actually moves the cube by -1 in all 3 spatial directions. This one adds a cylinder of radius 0.75 and height 4. So as you can see, the students are in complete control of what they do. They actually have to write it down. Then I can copy these the cylinder, create 2 more. And finally subtract them. And the last line I added is subtract the union of the 3 cylinders from the cube. So the advantage of this approach is that students get it very quickly. Okay? It's very, very explicit. And let me go through the 12 reasons that I believe are really, make it a suitable teaching tool. So first of all, it's really easy to get started. There is no barrier of entry. You don't have to buy software. You don't have to learn complicated conventional software. Okay, this here, the 2 lines take a student less than a minute, and they have the first design up, and they are right. So it's extremely fast, extremely easy to get started. Number 2. I believe it's really good that students type out. As you are aware, there's a big initiative, support for coding, this code.org and the Hour of Code, and President Obama saying, that coding is important, so, coding is good. Okay? Students learn how to focus. They need to be much more careful than clicking in menus and dragging objects with the mouse. So you will see this, okay? And focusing is good. For some reason, this type of keeps falling apart. I apologize. So, but this is the thing that I find very important. The student learns to put emphasis on the entire process, not only on the result, but also how do I do it. Because typically you have many different ways to get your design. You can be very inefficient, and you can be efficient. And what we want the students to be aware of is it's a workflow. So the workflow needs to be correct and efficient. And then of course the result is efficient as well. Okay? Students through their computer skills, what I mean is they interact with the computer on a lower level. So they can get an error message, they will learn how to deal with it. They are simply closer. If they are using a commercial product with menus, they are clicking on buttons. There is some extra layer between them and the computer. So I really like the students should be closer to the computer because it teaches them valuable skills. Then scripting allows you to use elements of a programming language, such as a loop, to automate designs. And this is beautiful because if you look around yourselves, many objects have repeated patterns. The students need to learn how to recognize them and then how to use this pattern. Okay, they don't need to do 10 times the same thing. They do it once and use a loop. That's what we should be teaching them. Another advantage of scripting is that you have variables. You can use parametric designs. So I'm using this little here as an example. In the model, these models are the same. They just differ in one variable, which is 12 here, 14 here, 16 here, and 18 here. It's the number of people. Okay? And the model is parameterized, so it will divide the 360 degrees angle by 12 or by 14, it's an automatic. And the student really realizes what they're doing. It's an awesome teaching tool as well because you are in charge. You know exactly what the student did because you read it. It's like a journal, okay? 3D models are just text files. You can email them. You can copy and paste parts of them. You can reuse easily. The model that you did before, half a year before, you can take part of it, use it now. So this is possible. Number 10, you have more freedom and more power than any GUI can give you. Because what the GUI does, it takes a subset of the functionality that you do if you are close to this computer level, and they implement it in the form of buttons. But if you are scripting, you can use the entire power of the programming language. Okay. Number 11, it's fun. So I was so surprised when a CTE teacher told me that her students didn't like 3D modeling. And I thought, why? Because it's the most interesting thing for them that they do. They like it even more than computer programming. And what she told me is that if the students are sort of forced to learn with the standard industrial level, software, they are scared. It's overwhelming to them. It's very difficult for them. It's like sitting in the cockpit of an airplane. Okay, so they get intimidated. So that's not what they get descriptive because it's so simple. And last, we have 2 scripting paths available in NC Lab for everybody, free of charge. You just log in, create a user account, you can use it. One of them is called Plasm, programming language of solid modeling. That's your scripts will look like Python, and there is OpenSCAD, where your scripts will be looking more like C or C++. If you guys are interested, I have live here, so stop by, after our presentations. I'll be happy to talk about it. We also have a booth here, so you are welcome to stop by and talk to me if you're interested. So what I'm so Visual learning, the foundation for future education. That's kind of all. I'm going to talk about visual learning. What is the 3D classroom, flip classroom, and high quality content, and different ways to use our product. I'm going to do a 7-minute presentation that usually takes like 45 minutes. So the brain, why is visuals important? Well, the brain can actually remember 6 to 7 times more if we look at visual elements. So basically that's measured in several studies after 72 hours. So if I tell you something right now that I'm doing with 4 visuals like this, you will remember about 10% of what I'm saying in 72 hours. If I were having colorful pictures or moving pictures, you will remember over 60% of what I'm telling you in 72 hours. That's why visuals are really, really important. 3D elements increases learning and focus. So we heard that already, and we have seen proofs of it. And we get all sorts of testimonials from customers all around the world, what they see in ADHD students and students within the autism spectrum. And amazing stuff happens. And 85% of all human beings actually prefer visual learning. And that makes sense because visual is by far our biggest input and it overrides all other input. If you put for odorless coloring white wine and give that to wine tasters, they will use the red wine terminology to describe the wine, even though it's white. So it overrides the nose, the taste. 5% of the population has ADHD, and 1 to 2 in each classroom suffer from dyslexia. Why is it important with visuals with dyslexic people? Well, absolutely, the most important thing with visuals is actually for all of us, not only with the people with some kind of impairment, because the long-term memory is actually built on top of visuals. So what is stopping us from using visuals in education? Well, most of all, it's hard to find. The internet is like loaded with things, but we have to search for the right images to be able to use them. So that takes time, and it's really hard work. Text and voiceovers, it's someone else that had decided how you should teach this, how you should describe it, how the best way to explain this is made. And it doesn't work like that because every student is one person, so we need to personalize education. And we have the context as teachers. At this moment in this classroom, this needs to be told like this. Otherwise, they will not get it because other things interfere. Content created for certain age groups or certain curriculum, that's a hinder as well, because it's really difficult for us because we don't have one grade in the same classroom. Even though they are born the same year, they are taking the same course, they are going to be on a whole lot of different levels. To be able to teach them, we have to change things. And pre-made things doesn't raise curiosity or explore. So what do we do? Well, we do interactive 3D visualizations. We try to make the complex and abstract easy to understand. So we're basically teaching tools. So we're enabling teachers to explain what's complex and abstract, and we don't decide what to produce. We actually are 100% customer driven in our production. We ask all our customers twice a year, what do you find hard to get the students to understand? We get hundreds and hundreds of suggestions. We have a process to break that down into a 50 list with the top 50 most wanted things. We send those out and tell all the schools, all the teachers that are using our product in over 30 countries to choose 5. That way we better prioritize focus. We do what's most important to most teachers. So how do they use it? Well, regular lectures. So you don't have to change your lesson plan or anything. Just use the things that we have when it fits in your regular planning. You will change, however, all teachers change when they use our product after a while. Flip classroom, make interactive videos with our software because you decide, you're the director of what is happening. Use your own words, your own vocabulary to explain the complex and abstract to your students. Or personalized education, do different kind of videos. Or put in some things in the lectures that aims or directs to some of the students in the class. Peer-to-peer systems, when
where the students actually use the software to be able to explain how they see some of the complex and abstract things, and they share those with each other, getting all kinds of different ways to understand. And professional development. You can't be an expert in all the subjects that you teach, not all the aspects of that subject. So if you have someone that's really into common findings in chemistry, let them do videos to their peers and have them watch them. So now I'm going to end with a video. This is actually a Finnish student in Finland telling us about his experience after having a teacher using our software for 1 year.
Luokalta ydinkoulutusta. Yleensä kautta käyttäjät 3D-haastatteluita. No tosi hyvä sellainen tapauksia, että mulla kävi ennen oikein, oli tämmöisiä, että piti olla enemmän yksilöllisempää opetusta ja tämmöistä, niin se ei opettaja sille ehtinyt opettaa. Mä en siitä täytyy ollenkaan nyt ollut tämmöinen hyvä, että tavallaan siinä oppii itse silleen samalla se tekee, että aika mullakin onnistuu kumman tien, kyllä siinä vaan semmoista takaisin istumista.
Millä tavalla sinulla liitetään jossain biologia ja siellä oli desviivaastunut kanssa?
No silloin oli sitä, että opettaja opetti ees ja muut kuunteli ja siinä mä en tykännyt tästä, mutta nyt on tämmöinen vähän vapaampi, että oikeastaan